Hey guys, and welcome to Doing Things Dan's Way. So today what we're going to do is we're going to open up the front door of the Highlander. We're going to take off the whole door panel. We're going to get to the speaker, see what kind of speaker this is, what size it is, possible replacement options. We're also going to do a sound deadening on the inside of the door. What I have is a whole box of 120 mil thick Butyl sound deadening material. So this is basically butyl tape, the same kind of thing you can get for doing gaskets and seals on trailers and such. And it's super sticky when you push hard against it. Otherwise, it's not super sticky, just kind of just being there. But what this does is you line the inside of the door with this, and you end up with a substantially better sounding door. These doors, the way they sound now, when you slam them shut, there's just a lot of wobble sound that you get. And the door sound is just soft. I mean, the material itself is not particularly thick. It's just a way of making a lightweight door and making the truck lighter, I guess. So, but by doing this to it, we should end up with, well, bad example. This is awesome. The door back here literally sounds different. It's an entirely different sound. It's a deep, low thud versus what this one has, which is kind of a rattle. And it's just cheap. It literally sounds like my daughter's Yaris, her little two-door Yaris with big doors. So, for a $30,000 to $40,000 plus car, this is not sound quality. But a box of this stuff is like $60 to $70. The link to this is in the description below. Also, you can pick up a roller. Sometimes they sell them as a kit. This material, I have not found this available with a roller. So pick up the roller, you definitely want it. It's very difficult to work this otherwise. And the way this stuff works is as you roll it, it will literally flatten out those little quilted shapes, and that way you know you've hit every square inch of this whole sheet with this roller. That's kind of as simple as it is. So to do this overall process, I'm going to remove the screw that's here and two that are behind this piece here, and undo all the clips around the door, and we should be able to, and remove this piece, we should be able to remove the door. And in doing that, we have to be careful because we have two cables that go from here over to the latch. So we'll have to remove those two cables carefully. This light that's down here in the bottom of the door, there's a short cable attached to that, so we have to be careful when we open the door to reach around and disconnect that. 1, 2, 3 screws, the rest are snaps. Let's get to it. This is Doing Things Dan's Way. Always use a spudger, something like this, something soft, something that won't damage the plastic or leave little lines in it as you go. That's not cool. And just work slow. I don't know where the clips are on this. I'm just kind of sliding along, looking for anything that's holding. Back here there are two clips to release. Looks like. So there's a little spot you gotta put your fingernail in and squeeze to disengage the latches. So just find the little spot on the connector that moves, push that in, and then just gently wiggle out the connections. Now, I've never opened this door up, so this is what it's like first time. There's one screw here, and there's one screw here behind this little door. These little edges is why I like to have my nails long sometimes, because you can sometimes just slide your fingernail in. Your fingernail won't scratch the plastic, and if that doesn't work, you can get a little more aggressive with tools. Go. It's a plastic hinge, so you don't want to bend this back too hard or too many times. Well, these ones here are real simple. You just kind of come in and pull back. Get behind it a little bit, so it'll pop. And there's our screw. 3 screws is really simple. Okay, here we're going to work our way around the edges. And the trick here is just to find the first set of clips and apply in those kind of directly. I can't explain why, but the clips up here always seem harder to do than the ones on the bottom. I don't know why. This guy up here we're just going to pull on. Get a clip on the top and the bottom, there and there. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, this is as far out as we can pull on this, and we don't want to pull any farther because this light here has a very, very short connection to it. I'm trying to find the edge of the button to push on. There we go. Okay, so once this is loose and we've got that connection going, we're going to lift, carefully pull it away. Oh, okay. Sometimes this happens, which is actually helpful. The whole mechanism comes out on its own. And you can see there's a 6x9 sized opening here for the speaker in the front. Okay, so here's my observations at this point. They have an opening for a 6x9 speaker, but there's only like a 6-inch speaker in here. Here's the back speaker, and it's clearly different. It's a soft surround, so it's got a long extrusion. Makes sense why it has much better low end. But clearly this is a 6x9 size capable opening, which will let us put a lot more speaker here if we want to. That's interesting. That's something else to notice. Right here, whenever you see a yellow connector like this, that's an airbag. This would be the airbag side impact collision sensor. So the last thing we want to do is have the car powered, like we're listening to the speakers, and we come in here and we were to bang on this thing. because it literally would think like we just had an accident, because this is normally covered and protected, and we could shoot off the side seat airbag and the curtain airbags. So at this point, I should have already had the airbags disabled because I was working all around this spot. And obviously I'll put this in the instructions. You've already heard this, but the airbag should be off when you do this kind of work, because you don't work around these sensors, especially with the car powered. That's really, really bad news. So this is the connections to the latch. Now if this hadn't popped loose like it did, all we would do is basically grab this connection and pull it towards you, and then walk this ball out of this piece. Now this piece here is plastic and totally breakable, so that's a really weak link. So you put it in carefully and around the corner and then snap it in, and that's strong because there's lots of plastic there. It's easy to tear these when you pull it off. So when you pull this off, put your thumb over it so it doesn't just come tearing off like this, because it's super easy to break these little delicate little plastic tabs. Trust me, I've done it. And now you're buying a whole new assembly. In this case, the whole thing popped loose. These two clips here are the ones that hold it in place, this top and bottom clip. So actually I'm going to be moving all of this back through the plastic here, so I am going to go ahead and just take it off, because that's not helpful. Okay, so at this point I'm going to remove the speaker, because that lets me get up inside there and help put the tape on, and I'm going to go ahead and start peeling all this plastic off. I've tried heating the plastic and I tried cooling the plastic, and honestly just room temperature, 70 to 80 degrees, this peels off just fine. Without having, cold and hot doesn't make it less sticky or more peelable, put it that way. So we're just going to peel this off and pass these wires through this opening. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that we have access to the door, there's this dampener right here, which is trying to, listen to that. This dampener is trying to dampen that a bit. It does a horrible job, so we're going to remove this. This is a 10 millimeter. At this point, I'm just going to dry fit a piece in there and just see how much space I can cover with one sheet. So there's a stabilizer bar that goes across here inside, and it kind of flares away as it gets close to the door. So that's the shape that I kind of pushed it into. So I'm just going to cut this little section out, and it looks like pretty much everything else. I might round this corner a bit because it started to touch down here. Otherwise, a full sheet's going to fit just below the door handle, right about there. And so to cut this material, just a set of good heavy-duty shears goes right through it. And so as long as it's sharp, it doesn't sticky up the scissors at all. If you go slow through it, it might actually start to put some gooey on there, but yeah, you can just snip through this, no problem. The trick here is, because now that it's sticky, is getting it in place, obviously, without it sticking so hard to the surface that you can't slide it around. Well, that's what I'm finding right now is, with the backing on, I was able to slide it between things, and it's not as nice right now. There we go. Ouch. Lots of stamped metal up in here, so be careful of fingers and everything else, because there's lots of sharp bits that want to stab you and poke you. And these edges here will feel sharper and sharper over time as we start to use the roller. So now I'm just going to roll, starting in the kind of center. Roll flat all those little quilts in the foil. Now you don't get wrinkle free. You can still see the lines of the quilt a bit. I'm using this tool just because it has a hard, smooth edge on it, and I can basically polish the wrinkles out to the, well, just to make sure I've touched every little spot up in the nooks and crannies up here, and along the edges especially. I'm just sliding this up and down in areas where I can't be sure that the roller got to. Here you can see what happens to the quilting. Now remember, you don't want to scratch this in any way, because the outside of this is your door, so you will literally leave lines on the outside of your car if you were to dent the inside of this door. But it's already a lot less wobbly. At this point, I'm going to take out the speaker. That'll give me access to this side over here. Wow. What's amazing is that this speaker has almost no magnet on it whatsoever. this puny, puny little magnet. And this whole thing weighs nothing. And yet it actually has a lot of tone to it, so. Okay, well, I've got the sheet down here finally installed. Definitely expect to bleed. That's just gonna be a reality of this project. At this point, I would say it's substantially better. It's not where I want it. I have one more piece to do over here behind the speaker. Up here it's nice where the stabilizer bar is. Down here and kind of the body of it is still pretty rattly. So I think I'm going to put sheets of this material and actually have it turn the corner and touch the crash bar, going up and going down. That will kind of help connect this vibration to this solid bar here. And we'll see if that makes a big difference. So basically it's going to be something like this. Like that. Very, very different sound. So that made a whopping big difference in the sound. This now, you know, it really has a nice low thud. And you go back to the other side and it's just cheap and flimsy. The door sound when it closes also sounds nice and solid. Big difference there. I'm not sure how it's going to change the sound of the speaker or whether that's going to be noticeable or not, honestly. But this, no matter what, has made the door feel a lot heavier, even though we've literally only added 3 pounds maybe to the whole door. These sheets are just not that. This is not heavy. It's just dense, and it just slows down the ability of the door to just oil can back and forth, which is the whole point. So, you know, it's basically 2 layers down the center here, where I ended up, and then kind of wrapping into this crash bar a bit. So there's a little bit of a dampening effect happening between the door and this hard bar. I mean, it almost might make sense to put a 3rd layer on here. Here I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sheets and another 8th sheet down the center. So that's a good idea how many sheets we're using. I'm blowing through this box pretty fast doing just this side of the car so far. I may end up having to buy a 2nd box to finish the other side. So I'm going to do some counts and see. If I know I have to buy another box, I may go ahead and just do another sheet down the center here, just to deepen the tone even more. Okay, so at this point I'm going to I can call this done. That is significantly dampened from where it used to be. I'm going to reinstall the foam block that was here just for fun, put back all of the plastic piece and roll that flat, reconnect everything, put the speaker back on, just reassemble everything, and we're going to put it back together and see how it sounds, see if there's any noticeable difference in the sound system, left versus right, which I'm not really anticipating a ton of, although it does make a better, tighter enclosure by having all this extra material. But then definitely the door shutting is just going to sound super solid and nice. So we're going to put it back together, and we'll see you in a minute. So at this point, the reassembly is basically the opposite of the assembly. We're going to put the door back on. We have to reconnect, or replace really, in this case, just the mechanism for the door lock and the door handle, and reconnect the light down here for the entrance, this little guy. And those are like the little details we have to deal with. Otherwise, putting all the screws back in, snap it back together. Well guys, I hope the difference you hear there in the sound of the doors is noticeable on the microphone, and that you think this may be something you'd want to do as well, just to kind of really improve the sound. I just can't believe how different this door, especially the front doors, feel having done this upgrade with the heavy-bodied butyl tape. So anyway, the links are again in the description below. If you want to see some other videos on how I did this wrap, for example, you can click here. And of course, hit subscribe if you would. That really helps me out, and a thumbs up really helps other people know this video is worth watching. So until next time, be blessed.